Good morning, grade 11. Happy Monday to you. We are going to do guided activity, page 184 and 185, 8.1. It's a guided activity. We're using the same program, so you can go and open your program from your memo files for the 20th of May. If you have not caught up, and make sure to open the confriendbook.pas as well as the .dpr or .dproj, and then you'll get this. And if there's no connection, remember that you have to go and build that connection string by double clicking and build it again and connect to the right database, and then setting that ADO table component called TBL friends, the active property, set that to true. So what have we got so far? We've written code to create a profile. We've done that, but I've added some extra here. Remember I asked you to go and try on the last time I saw you were there on Thursday last week. If you knew how to verify that the date of birth is definitely a date of birth, because we cannot go and send that SDOB to our database unless it is properly formatted in the format that the date requires it to be, with 4 and then 4 digits and then a forward slash and then 2 digits and a forward slash and then 2 digits. So what we've done now, I've written code here and I've valed the first 4 digits, which will be the year. And if that R code is equal to 0, and if it's valid, then I'm going to go and check for the forward slashes to see if they are in the right position. And if they are in the right position, then I'll go and val the 2 digits for the year. And if that can be converted to an integer, in other words, if our code is 0, then I will go and check the last 2 digits to see if they can be converted to an integer. And if that R code is 0, then only then we will say b valid equals true. So you can go get this code and test it and see if it works and study it. It's a whole lot of nested if statements. If that, then begin if. So if it's true for the one, then I'm going to go and check the others, and in turn, if one is true, then I'll go check another one. If that is true, and eventually the last check is over here, and if that is valid, then only then will b valid be true. So it's going to do a whole lot, and it'll do this all the time until b valid equals true. But we set b valid to false, so we're using a Boolean flag here, and it's a very important concept to use a Boolean flag to go and check things in a loop. So you set your Boolean flag to false, and then you repeat all these checks until the Boolean flag is true. We call it a Boolean flag, just a Boolean variable. Okay. So set it to false first and continue with all these checks, and only the inside. So this is if, then, begin. So it's a whole lot of nested and if inside and inside. In fact, I don't think there's really any other way to do it besides putting a calendar control on the form, but that isn't here. So make sure you know how this works and study the code, and you'll find it there in the memo files. So now we're going to move on to the guided activity 8.1, and that is saying, okay, we want to extract data and display it in components so that we can change it if necessary. So where are the components? We have a memo there, we have a calendar control there, DTP, birthdays, a date time picker actually. We have an EDT, an edit box, EDT class, and we have a profile views, EDT profile views. What we're going to do is when the user clicks on one of these rows, we want all of their data from their different fields to be put in the relevant components over here. Now what they've done is they've given us the code for that. Okay, so fine, they've given us the code, but where are we going to put it? We're going to put it in the on cell click event. How are we going to create an on cell click event of the DB grid? Easy. We go click on the DB grid like that. Then we're going to go to events, and then we see on cell click. Do you see that? There's on cell click. So you double click in there, and there you have it. And that's, oops, not that code I was pasting. Yep, I'm going to copy and paste. You can type it in. So what do we got here? The label LBL name.caption is going to be TBL friend's first name plus TBL friend's surname. So we'll put the first name and surname, and take note they haven't used a with statement. They used a data module, this word over here, dbmfb. That name is being used in the code, dbmfb dot, and then you quote the ADO table component, and then in square brackets the name, and you know that's a string, so that can go in. Now, profile views, do you think that's going to work? If you look profile views as an integer, do you think we're going to be able to put it in the text box? Well, and then over here for the data, this will work. We're going to use the date time picker called DTP birthday.date. That's going to be the date of birth. The bio, the membio.text is going to hold the bio. We're joining these two fields, first name and surname, into one string with a space in between. That's going to go into LBL name.caption. But will that work? So let's go and run the code and see. So I'm going to go click on any name, and yes, it did. And that is because, yeah, Access has made some provisions. But if I had to do string to int over here, will it still work? Because we know that profile views as an integer in Access, and we should by all rights regard it as such in Delphi. And obviously no, it does not like that. If we go and check the data, let's go and look at our database and make doubly sure about that. I'm going to use this database here, backup.mdb, because I have linked to backup.mdb with this program. So when you go and open a database, make sure you're opening the right one in the right folder. It's quite a mission, but you need to just get used to that. That your database is inside the folder where your program is. It cannot be anywhere else. I'm going to try and get this open. View, design, view. And profile views is an integer, but it doesn't like me to oh, I had converted it the wrong way, probably that's why. Int to string. Okay. It works with or without conversion to a string. Let's go and see. So I'm going to click on a name, and there it does work now. But it worked without me having to convert that integer to a string. So that's very curious. Never used to be. There's been updates. So there we have it, folks. Right, now the next thing is, you heard it here first, you know. Even though profile views is an integer in the database, we didn't have to actually convert it to a string in order to display it in an edit box. Text component. Okay, so that is how that works. Now the next thing is that if the user clicks on a profile, okay, so that's what it's done. We've got the components, okay, but now we want to save any changes that we might make in the update component, in the update button, sorry. So if we know that the program is going to go and this on cell click event of the database grid, on cell click, if you just click on any row here, you can see there. Now we can go and change things. If I want to change the grade for this person, where's the name and surname? I thought they put this name and surname somewhere. Oh, there it is there. Zubair Hussein. Sitole, Penny, Kamalan Rahman. So there it is. and so the name's in big bold letters. But if you want to change anything, we can't change the name because that's a label. Okay, you can't edit a label in runtime. But if you want to go and add any data here, and tennis player, and then we click on update profile, we should be able to change the database for that particular selected person's name. And we're going to write code in the update profile to do just that. So if you want to change the date of birth, say, okay, so choose a different date. So this is a date time picker. And if you want to change the grade, you can change that. And if you want to increment a profile views, now profile views has not, we don't have access to actually change the profile views here. That means if you look at the properties of that edit box, could be disabled. It's an edit box, EDT profile views, and enabled, to go to look for the enabled property. Enabled is false because they don't want people to just go and change the number of views, you know, for fun. So we can only change the views when we click on it. We'll do that in the next activity. But for now, let's go and do update profile. So notice that, you know, as you note that when we made all the changes, we want to change it. Want to change it in the database itself. So in the on-click event for update profile, we're going to put our database in edit mode. So I'm going to use the with statement with dbmfb do begin and end. That's to stop me having to type dbmfb dot all the time, like we did there. We don't want to have to do that all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to say TBL friends. We're going to put our database in edit mode. And then we're going to make the changes that we want to make. Now, this is not insert edit, means we're going to use a selected record that's already there, and we're going to change values depending on what, you know, which ones we want to change. We transfer data from our input components into the table, so that is it. So we get the bio field and the date of birth field and the class field. If you look here, we have birthday, grade, and the bio. So the class, date of birth, and bio. So we're going to say TBL friends, the field called bio is going to be equal to whatever's in this box here, this memo bio, mem bio. Now, how do we get items from mem bio? From a memo, we just use the text property, membio.text. So everything that's in that memo will go into, will be replacing whatever's in this bio field on that row in the table, in the database table. Now we want to change the field called date of birth. This is how we refer to our fields in our database table. See these things? Oh, for crying out loud. These fields, date of birth, class. We're not going to change the first name. We're not going to change profile views. We're just saying bio, class, and date of birth. So we type date of birth, and then that is equal to the DTP birthday, this component called DTP birthday, DTP birthday dot date. That's it. And then TBL friends, square brackets, class is going to be equal to whatever's in that edit box over here, edt class dot text. Now all of those things are strings, so we're fine. But now when we're finished with that, we've got to say TBL friends dot post. If we don't do that, then nothing's going to be changed. Right? And then we can show a message that we've updated the profile. So we say show message profile updated. Okay, so that's it. So let's run the program and see how it works. Okay, so I'm going to go to, let's go to Jane Doe. I'm just going to change the class to 10A1. And let's change her date of birth to the 9th. And we can't change and tennis and dancing. Let's make it ballet. Okay, update profile. Profile updated. Now you can see, there it is, Jane Doe. Oops. You can see date of birth has been, we've used the time as well, which we do not want. So the date time picker was probably the wrong component to put there, because you can get other components over here. T date, we shouldn't have date components. Okay, date time. We can actually use a calendar rather. The calendar is better. A calendar component. T calendar or T month calendar. So there's two. There's this one, which is like a big calendar, but that's not actually going to help us. So we can use the other one, T month calendar. Actually, T month calendar is better, because then you can actually go and navigate and find the actual calendar. So yeah, okay, so that's it. And you're going to try this program now by yourself for the rest of the lesson. And yeah, I dare you to go and change this component over here.